I've talked to a number of drivers about how much they paid after their vehicles were towed. Today I tried to find out who authorized those tows. Flight times to and from Colombia, making it more convenient for travelers than Delta Airlines did. They are in favor of the local sheriff's departments taking over issuing conceal and carry photo IDs who have passed away recently. Now, if you can't make it to the festivities this weekend, the throne will be on display in front of the Crazy Music Store on 8th Street. They also said that they could handle the large crowds on their own. Find out more about the lack of a pull-down fire alarm that is required by the city's fire code, but was only able to speak with one resident before being asked to leave the property by security. Although the act did face some opposition in the House, Congress was still able to pass it sooner than they thought. And she says First Student isn't meeting the needs of Columbia families. You may ask yourself, how could someone possibly survive such a terrible accident? The answer is by wearing their seatbelt. According to Governor Nixon, if Missouri does not have a plan ready by November 16th, the Federal Department of Health and Human Services. The first show starts here at 5:45 p.m. Reporting live in Columbia, Sarah Duffey, KMU8 News.
It's more than what I paid for my roadside assistance for a whole year.
The city gave Ryan Stunt a 24-hour notice to remove his car from the snow after getting stuck in his neighborhood. But when he went to try, it too was already gone. The Revenue Department and State Highway Patrol officials were recently called to the Capitol to testify about why copies of permits were stored on state computers.
Violated. They have no business, and outside of law enforcement, nobody has any business asking whether I've got a concealed carry permit or not.
The plan will give Columbia a street system that offers more choices of direction, frequent intersections, and alternate parallel routes in order to do a better job of moving traffic. Last week, Bill Ferguson filed a second appeal for his son Ryan's case, stating there is no evidence linking his son to the murder of Kent Heitholt. The new appeal argues 8 different errors found in the 2001 trial, one being the jury selection process in Lincoln County where the trial took place.
Offered potential jury members the opportunity of doing community service and paying $50 to get off jury duty. It's unconstitutional. It's unheard of.
Ferguson also says the appeal questions then Tribune sports writer Michael Boyd's timeline from when he last saw Heitholt in the Tribune parking lot and when forensic says the murder happened. The rooms inside the Truman Hotel look like they always do. But today, the health department was back, trying to find out why people who stayed here got sick.
And actually conducted some tests on the rooms that some of them that they were staying in, and some random rooms, and went into some of the meeting rooms.
The hotel's general manager doesn't believe any other guests are at risk, even though it's still a mystery why 4 people attending the coroner's conference ended up in the hospital and dozens more became suddenly ill. In order to survive, a newspaper must find new ways to remain relevant as something more than a place to run advertising.
And even I, with my lack of business background, understood it was not going to go on forever. I realized it was going to, so we had to build some value in the product, which meant we had to build the audience. We had to grow the newspaper.
Suggs began grabbing the attention of corporate sponsors by creating an education program to raise scholarship money for students.
I think people want to hear good news. They want to hear their stories, quite frankly.
In the last 30 years, under Suggs' supervision, the St. Louis American rose from 60,000 to 70,000 copies per issue.
Now that you're talking to a broader community, people realize that what happens in one culture affects the other. So the old saying of we're all in this together, we really are.
Today, the St. Louis American sees itself as a voice for everyone, not just African Americans.
In America, you start from nothing and a dream and go from there, and that's what we've done.
The co-owners agree their goal is to keep art lighthearted and a fun, inexpensive activity. Edelman Travel is helping American Airlines regulate ticket prices between flights to and from Columbia Regional Airport to Dallas and Chicago.
Of course, it's new, and some of their fares have been pretty high. They've got some inconsistencies with whether you route through Chicago or through Dallas, which shouldn't be, so they're working on that.
And if the people we were trying to help weren't excited about it, then it really it makes it so that you don't want to keep fighting that fight.
Steinhoff says down the road he hopes something like Tigertown can still come together. At Granny's house, Pan Ingram always tries to make birthdays special.
Granny Pam always have something up her sleeve.
She and the volunteers were unaware many had turned 16.